Shout out to G-Man Boxing. Where's the piss bottle? It's over there.
Alright, people. Devin Haney, George Kambosos, Devin Haney. It's fight week. Do you know something? It's actually come up quite quick, this fight week. It was only last week I was thinking, after Tank Davis, what's the next fight we have? And I was thinking, is it Smith, Beterbiev? And then it struck me, I was like, oh, wait a minute. We have this fight coming up. I believe this fight, correct me if I'm wrong, it's on a Sunday, which is good for me because it's a bank holiday here in Ireland. So, and I took the Tuesday off as well because I'm going to do a watch along for the Daenerys Inoue fight. And of course, definitely 100%. The reason I didn't do a watch along for Tank Davis because I couldn't get a quality enough stream. But we will be doing a watch along for this fight. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to give my picks. I'm going to think what both guys need to do to win. And then at the end, of course, as you know how these go, I'm going to give a little pick. Now, I've started liking to put a few little snippets of both guys fighting and some of the little synchronicities in. I don't have it this time, so it's just going to be me talking. And if I have to, I don't like doing it, but if I have to, I'll just kind of show with my hands some of the things that they do. But let's look at the tail of the tape first. Obviously, we have George Kambosos. He's the champion. You know, Devin Haney. It's not Devin Haney's fault, to be fair. It's the whole WBC franchise title. I've said it once, I'll say it again. If there's one thing in boxing I despise, it's that franchise title. It really is. I don't understand the whole concept from it. I'm hoping that this is the end of it. I'm pretty sure this is the last one. So please let it be gone, that this goddamn franchise title. But for all intents and purposes, Kambosos has the titles, right? He brings to the record of 20-0 with 10 knockouts. So 50% knockout ratio. He's listed as being 5'9" with a 68-inch reach. Now we contrast that to Devin Haney. He's 27-0 with 15 knockouts. So even Steven in the power department, judging by their knockout ratio, I'll touch on that now in a sec. But he comes to the ring 5'8". They look about the same in terms of height, but he does have the reach, and you can tell it's not just the reach, he has the arm length as well. And Devin Haney is a fighter who does like to use... He likes the box. He likes the box on the back foot. He likes the counter punch. He likes to move. Defensively, he's very good. But Devin Haney has been making mistakes with his defense as of late because he's been trying... See, here's the thing, right? Before Kambosos came onto the scene, now I'll be frank, I wrote him off at the Teofimo Lopez fight. I really did. But I knew Kambosos wasn't a bad fighter, but I didn't think he had that level to go to. Although saying that, you know, let's not beat around the bush here. That was not Teofimo Lopez at his optimum. I don't believe anyway. I still think it would have been a very, very tough fight regardless. But the way Teofimo Lopez boxed in that fight was absolutely bizarre, is the only word I can use. And it wasn't just that. I mean, he came out swinging for defenses in that first round. Reckless abandonment. And he had his dad giving him some of the worst advice I have ever, in all my years, I've never, in all my years, seen advice. Maybe I have, but it's slipped my mind. But if it slipped my mind, it's got to be not as bad as this. The advice that Teofimo Sr. was giving his son in that fight. Absolutely disgraceful work from the corner in that fight. So, George Kambosos, you know, he is a tremendous fighter, and, you know, he proved that if it wasn't, he wouldn't have won. But I definitely don't think that was Teofimo firing on all cylinders. But let's look at both these guys' fighters. So Kambosos can box. You know, he can. He primarily does look to apply pressure. He can counter punch quite well. I was looking back at some of Kambosos' fights, and the interesting thing you'll see about his last 3 performances is they're all split decision victories. Alright, there's a 10-rounder against Mickey Bay. He won the fight. I don't know why it was split decision. That is bizarre. He won it. I think at the time it might have been a little bit early in Kambosos' career for Mickey Bay, but he was able to get through it nonetheless. And then he had the fight against Lee Selby. Now, this is split, and again, I don't know why it's split, because for my money, he beat Lee Selby comprehensively. I mean, the 118-110 scorecard to Kambosos, I'm surprised it's not that way across the board. That was the kind of fight it was. And in that fight, Lee Selby is nowhere near as good. He's nowhere near as talented as a Devin Haney at long range boxing. But if you were looking for a style that you could say, okay, it's similar, it would be someone like Lee Selby. As I said, Lee Selby is nowhere near as talented. He's nowhere near as good. He's nowhere near as big and physically strong as a Devin Haney. I mean, Lee Selby, a blown up featherweight, let's be frank. And even at featherweight, you know, I've said it once, I'll say it again, I never rated Lee Selby. You know, I mean, like, and again, like, did he ever face a puncher? Really, a featherweight? I don't think he did. And Kambosos was able to get behind that jab. He was able to work his way in using his own jab. Interesting. He was countering. So this is one thing I noticed about him when I was looking back at the Lee Selby fight. He was actually, as Lee Selby was coming in jabbing, right? He was able to get around the jab, throw his own jab in, and some of the jabs Lee Selby was throwing were quite laboured, you know. Kambosos would have been able to counter over the top with the right hand, but he wasn't. What he was doing was he was actually coming in with his own jab, and instantly he was hooking off the jab. Now that's an interesting one, because you don't normally, when a fighter is, especially when they're like a long range fighter like Lee Selby and you have a chance to counter over the jab, you're going to counter with the right hand. But George Kambosos, he did counter Lee Selby several times with right hands, and he landed a lot of straight right hands as well as going to Lee Selby's body. So he really kind of, again, like a split. I don't know how it was split. I thought he did a very good job in there. But you see some of the things that Kambosos does, and you just look at that and you think, okay, it's a different ball game, Devin Haney, but some of this could potentially offset Devin. Now, people have been saying that one of the reasons why Haney tends to box so defensively is because he's protecting potentially a fragile chin. Kambosos is a decent puncher, but when you look at their records, they're both in around the 50% mark with the KOs, right? I suspect out of the two, Kambosos is the heavier handed, right? Because I don't think Devin has that concussive punching power. He's been in there with guys like Linares, who never had a good chin, even down the lower weights, and couldn't put a dent in him. With Kambosos, when he dropped Teofimo with that right hand, Teofimo knew all about that. You know, he hurt Lee Selby a few times in the fight. Never looked like stopping him, and you know, you could say that's not a good look considering Lee Selby went in there, I can't remember the guy's name, in his last fight in Argentina, and he got completely blown out of the water. You know, and I do take that into consideration. Yes, I think it was a bit of that guy was just looking for the KO from the get-go. Kambosos is more, he's more a guy who's looking to counter you, even though he is looking to pressure you. He is looking to counter over with his right hand. He is looking to hook off the jab, and he is looking to kind of be a bit more methodical in how he goes about his approach. I think that's kind of more how Kambosos does things. Now, in this fight, what I think he's going to be wanting to do, very early on, I genuinely think that he needs to kind of, this might sound crazy, but he's going to want to try and go Devin Haney. Alright, I know you might not think that's a tactic from boxing, but just hear me out. If he's trying to go Devin Haney in, right, Devin Haney's coming there without his normal team, without his father, Bill Haney. Devin, in his last few fights, I think the fact that they were mentioning Garcia as a puncher, Tank Davis as a puncher, Teofimo Lopez as a puncher, etc., that Devin wanted to prove that he is one. So we've seen him stand his ground against Jorge Linares and get caught. We've seen him stand his ground even his last fight against Jojo Diaz. Jojo Diaz isn't a puncher, but he was able to get clipped a few times. And I think that that's what Kambosos wants. He would want Devin Haney coming to him. He would want to be able to go to Devin Haney's body very early, get the legs, take the legs a bit away from Devin Haney because he has good footwork. He does move around the ring quite well, so he's going to want to invest in that body early on. And a bit like what he did against Lee Selby, when he gets the chance to counter over Devin's right hand, or Devin's lead hand, and I do believe that opportunities like that will come, he's going to want to be sharp, but he's going to want to switch it up. If the opportunity comes where he can land the right hand, if he sees a position, if he sees Devin Haney is doing the same thing over and over again, he can land the same right hand that he landed on Teofimo Lopez in that first fight. Make no mistake, I think Devin Haney's hitting the canvas. I really do. I think Devin Haney is hitting the canvas if he gets hit with some of them shots. Alright? But also, he's going to be wanting to, this fight's in Australia, he's going to be wanting to score points. He's going to be looking to get the crowd screaming, because that, I believe, genuinely will influence the judges slightly. So, even if he's getting by Devin Haney's jab, even if he's attacking to the body, and even if he's hooking off the jab, because hooking off the jab, when it's done properly, it can be very effective. You might not get the hook with the necessary power as you'd like if it was a solid, counter left hook. Yes, because you're not bringing it back, you're not getting full, probably maximum rotation into the shots, but it's still a shot nonetheless, and it's blinding the opponent. And he's having to think. The opponent is having to think, because at the end of the day, when someone's jabbing, it's not often that they actually jab off it. Klitschko would do it. You see Floyd, I remember Floyd had a very good check left hook back when he was, in his prime. But when it's done, it can blind the opponent, it can offset the opponent, and it can give you more of an opportunity to get inside, which I think George Kambosos is going to need to do. Now, let's switch it around. If you're Devin Haney, what are you going to do? Well, Haney is going to want to play to his strengths. So what are Haney's strengths? His strengths are that he's a superb long-range boxer. He's a very good boxer, has the great fundamentals. He's got good speed. The power. Yes, I'm doubting the power is there. I'm not saying he's feather-fisted like a Paulie Malignaggi, but he's not got the one-punch get-a-jail-free card that people like Ryan Garcia, Tank Davis have. He doesn't appear to have that. But use your strengths. So what Devin Haney's been doing in his fight against Linares late on, and in his fight against George, he's not been using his strengths, he's not been optimizing his strengths. His strengths are, it's not pretty on the eye, it's not going to put as many butts in seats, but you're a tremendous long-range boxer. You're very good defensively. You've got good footwork, fast feet, fast hands. Use it. You've got the reach in here. You are naturally bigger, because Devin Haney is he's the bigger out of the two at 135 pounds. Kambosos is more natural at that weight. That's more his natural weight. Devin Haney is a 140 pounder in disguise, really. But you're going to want to keep this guy at bay, and he's going to be coming charging at you, looking to attack your body. Why don't you do the same? Without the charging, why don't you throw a couple of jabs to Kambosos' body? His right hand is not the best punch in the world, but he's going to feel it if he's taking them. So look to go down, and his lead left hook to the body, I think, would be very good for Devin Haney. A lead left hook, if you could do something like what Alvarez does, Canelo, because, as I've said, there's no harm taking things from other fighters and trying to implement it in your game. When you see Canelo, he will often, when he's looking to lead with the left hook as well. If he's looking to throw it to the body, what he'll do occasionally is he'll throw a little nothing left hook to the head just to bring the guard up. So if you see when he got Liam Smith, he would left hook to the head, Smith's hand comes up and straight into the body. And that's what Alvarez does. There's no reason why Haney can't incorporate that into his game. And I think that would be very good. And I think vice versa, if he's looking to throw it to the head, a little feint down to the body and come up to the head. So I think that the lead left hook for Devin Haney against Kambosos will be a good shot. I think maybe Kambosos might be wise to the right hand, and he might be trying to move away from the right hand of Devin Haney. I think he'd be wary of that, but the left hook should be there. I suspect it might be. I suspect it might very well be. I think that the fact that this fight's in Australia as well, it does tend to me, I get the impression that when a fight's in someone's backyard, it's a big event like this, the shots that the home fighter is landing, in this case Kambosos, I genuinely believe they do influence the crowd, and I believe that influences the judges, because for argument's sake, you've a judge on this end of the ring. He maybe can't, got the fighter against the rope. He maybe can't see it. Maybe he lands a grazing shot and he misses 3 or 4 shots. But if you've the crowd erupting, that judge may genuinely not see it and be like, oh, he must have landed a couple of good shots there. Okay, well, that's just nicked around for him. So I think something like that could potentially happen. My keys for both guys is Kambosos looking to counter some of the jabs that Devin Haney throws. He's going to be mindful of the right hand. He's going to be moving his head off centre line, in my opinion. I think he should. And he's going to be looking to set up counter right hands, go to Devin Haney's body, slow his legs down, goad him in, because when Devin Haney comes and he looks to exchange and he looks to sit on his shots, he looks for power shots, he's open to get countered. He's been countered in the past. And I think that, Linares was able to rock Devin Haney. I would say, pound for pound, Linares probably hits harder. Some people are going to come and be like, how can you say Linares hits harder? Yeah, I genuinely think Linares hits harder than George Kambosos Jr. I genuinely do. Linares is a good puncher, he always has been. Fast with those combinations as well. But I definitely think Kambosos does have the power to bother Devin Haney. Does Devin Haney have the power to bother Kambosos? Well, Teofimo Lopez was able to drop George Kambosos. However, he did show very good signs of recovery. That has to be said. And that was late in a fight in which he was winning. He was winning quite comfortably, but he was definitely not as sharp in the 10th round as he would have been in the 2nd or 3rd round. So I think that Kambosos look to counter over the jab with the right hand, hook off the jab whenever you get a chance, even if you're not looking to counter, hooking off the jab and going to Haney's body and goading Haney to try and exchange, because I do think in an exchange Kambosos will get the better of it. I really do. Almost as if he's trying to chop a tree down. That's kind of how it's going to be for Kambosos. If you're Devin Haney, play to your strengths. Long range boxing, look to counter with the right hand, go to Kambosos' body, but use your lead left hook. I think that punch will pay dividends to Devin Haney in this fight if he looks to use it, if he incorporates it. That's what I think. Don't allow yourself to get backed up against the ropes either. With Devin Haney, if he feels his foot, if he feels it even remotely close to those ropes, you're too close to the ropes, get out of dodge and move, because Kambosos will look to open up combinations on you when you're at the ropes. Kambosos can throw good combinations, and if he does, especially in Australia, you're going to influence the crowd. You're going to influence the judges potentially as well. All right, I see this fight being very close. Kambosos has a run of 3 fights that have been split decisions. As I said at the start of this video, I don't think any of them should. They all should have been unanimous. But I can see a case that this fight legitimately will be a split decision. I got to call this fight like I see it. I'm going to stay objective. I've said it from the get-go who I think will win, and I ain't deviating from it. My pick for this fight, Devin Haney on points, razor close split decision, potentially majority. But my pick is Devin Haney to win this fight. That's who I got. That's who I'm going with. We'll do a watch along on Saturday and we'll find out. Or Sunday. It's on Sunday morning. We'll find out then. People, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts. Who do you have? Who do you think is going to win? Leave it in the comments below. Before I go, I hope you all enjoyed the video I done yesterday when boxing hype jobs face reality. That was part 1. Part 2 we will look to do next month, as well as a documentary. We're going to do another documentary. I have one in my mind. I have to talk with Dan, my editor, on this, but we will look to get another documentary on a certain fighter, because as you all know, I love doing my WTF videos. I love doing them. They're great fun. And I was thinking who to do it on next. And there's a certain fighter, I think he's above a WTF video, because there is so much to discuss. He deserves his own little feature-length documentary. So watch it won't be till probably the end of June, start of July, because they take a long time between the research, the recording, the editing. Because believe me, I mean, I feel bad for Dan. Takes days sometimes to get the editing for that done. That one alone took a day for an 8-minute video. So yeah, you can see where it's long. But people, I'll leave you with that. I hope you enjoyed this prediction, preview, breakdown. I'll leave you with that. People, smash the like button. I hope to catch you Sunday for the watch along. I'll talk to you. Peace.